Welcome back to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. I'm really excited to have you with me today, and I'm excited to introduce you to my guest, Kristen Reed. Kristen, how long do you think we've known each other? Do you remember?
Um, I mean,
2015?
2015? It must be. We both said 15. There you go, 11 years.
Yeah. And so Kristen is a nurse wellness coach. Her business is Nursing Your Way to Wellness. Kristen worked as a nurse for 17 years. And I think that's when our paths crossed.
Yes.
Kristen worked with my daughter, with my oldest daughter, at Brigham and Women's Hospital. Before that, she traveled for a little while as a nurse and worked at the Cleveland Clinic. But it has been since 2019 that Kristen has had her own business. Early in your business, we worked together
Yes.
because I love having a coach, and a wellness coach was so special for me. Kristen comes to us from Massachusetts, where she is not only a business owner, she is a wife and a mom and brings all of that together in a full life. Here you are building a business, growing a family, creating this life that you love. So, we're going to learn so much more about you, and I can't wait for our listeners to get to know you. So, thank you, Kristen, for being here. I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Laurel, thank you so much. Just being in your presence already makes me just calm and peaceful, and I adore you. Thank you for having me.
So, our paths crossed at a Reiki training at a time that I was really curious about all of the tools to help me discover myself and where my place was in the world.
Mhm.
And I'm so curious about where Reiki fit in when you were learning Reiki. And then I want you to tell our listeners about bringing Reiki into Brigham and Women.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this. So much of my life connects dots, so I feel like my answer is not just like one moment in time. I'll just preface it by saying I had gone through a pretty challenging divorce and done a lot of healing from there. And so it opened my eyes for the first time in my adult life, really, to a lot of different healing modalities. And I became like very, spiritually inclined and so lots of healing modalities. And then I became interested in Reiki. And that's what just drove me to say, this is like it piqued my curiosity. And so that's what made me say, I'm gonna, take a little leap here and sign up for it. And our teacher and mentor, Libby Barnett, the famous in New England. She's the longest. Well, now she moved south, but at the time she was the longest practicing Reiki practitioner in New England and had touched countless lives as a social worker at Mass General Hospital. And so I said, who better to learn from? So Reiki 1, led right to Reiki 2 to Reiki Master, and that was a beautiful progression. And then working on the front lines in the hospital, specifically in the neuro ICU step down, where the burnout rates of nursing staff in particular were exceptionally high. The stress, the burnout, the challenges with resources and staffing, etc., with this patient population can be very, very challenging. And so, in my ongoing quest to bring a wellness program to Brigham, Reiki was a tool that I knew I wanted to incorporate into that program to be able to twofold also to be able to teach nurses and hospital staff how to give Reiki to each other as a form of grounding and stress relief and calming, and also to have us be able to offer it to patients whenever we felt like that was appropriate. And so, yes, we incorporated Reiki training into our program, and the feedback was exceptional, and that was a beautiful tool to be able to pass on as well.
Yeah. I have to say, it was in 2017, I had surgery at Brigham. My surgeon was from Dana-Farber. And so I was at Brigham for a number of days. And I told my husband and my daughters that it was patient ordered Reiki. And I wanted Reiki as soon as I came out of the ER and could have it.
Mhm.
Now, my husband has made jokes about Reiki for years, more than 10 years since I did my Reiki 1 and 2 and then masters. But I had Reiki almost as soon as I was in a room. And the Reiki volunteer, because volunteers were the ones administering Reiki
Yeah.
with the patients, the Reiki volunteer just happened to be training a new volunteer.
Mhm.
So I had two
Mhm.
people, four hands on me doing
Yep.
Reiki. My husband was sitting in the chair next to my bed. He was amazed because he had never seen Reiki in action.
Yeah.
But it was such a gift to have that at
Mhm.
the hospital in my recovery. And I had Reiki twice a day, every day. It
Yes.
made such a huge difference.
Hmm.
So I love that you describe it kind of as that curiosity, right? Just learning more about how to care for yourself.
Hmm.
And that's going to bring me to my next question because I really want to hear about your beautiful life. So I described you worked as a nurse, major hospitals. Now you own your own business. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're a Reiki master. Tell me, what is it, or how would you define or describe what makes a life beautiful?
For me, a beautiful life is really living in alignment with my values. So a life that feels aligned with how I want to feel, how I want to live on a day-to-day basis, and how I want to be remembered too is really pursuing my dreams and living those in action every day. And it doesn't hurt to have two little faces staring at me to say like, "Mama, you're doing it." And I want them to see what's possible too. So that's a beautiful life for me.
It really is. And let's talk about when you were working full time as a nurse,
Yeah.
which the neuro step down unit at Brigham and Women's Hospital is no easy task.
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about being on the front line,
Hmm.
right, it is front line. And you were there during 2020.
Yeah.
Those days were really, 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 really stressful.
Yeah.
So here you are, you have a vision of a life that might include nursing, but might not. So I want you to tell me about, how this vision of a different life played out for you. When did it start? When were you itching to bring yourself to the world in a different way?
Yes. So from a young age, I was always interested in health and wellness. It was always a part of me. I was the odd child who was like eating raw vegetables when everyone was eating pizza and like reading health books from a young age and interested in all of that and got made fun of for it, definitely. But I loved it. It was a passion of mine from a young age. I was so interested in it and I couldn't get enough of learning more about it and practicing healthy habits. So that led me to initially I had pursued a doctorate in physical therapy, health and wellness, helping others from a physical and mental standpoint, which then led me to pivot a little bit. We can talk about that and then go into nursing. Again, the health and wellness aspect, the well being, the caring. And then after being at the bedside for probably, I mean, it was there the whole time, but I think it started really bubbling up probably about 5 years into my career, realizing that as time was going on, I was hearing this whisper kind of become a roar of I could do more. I could really do more in educating patients, preventative medicine, being proactive and preventing them from coming into the hospital in the first place, and not just shoving prescriptions at them and kind of turning them over to get the bed open for the next patient, but rather educating them and teaching them about health topics, nutrition, lifestyle changes, lifestyle modifications, stress management, movement, all of these things that played a role in their well-being far beyond post-op instructions from a surgery and prescriptions and a follow-up doctor appointment and then leaving them on their own, right? So that became louder and louder to me. I started my health coaching practice. It was everything I had hoped it would be and more. And I was like, this, I want to keep doing this and helping women to really get to the root cause of their issues, really optimize their health so that we don't have to be in that hospital on the front lines, right? And then my practice thankfully grew and grew, and I was able to eventually leave bedside nursing.
And how many years did you do both? You're working in your
I
business as a coach and nursing.
Yeah, about 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
So tell me about your own practices during that time, 3.5 years at some time in our life. 3.5 years feels like an eternity, right?
yeah, yeah,
In hindsight, we know it goes by in a
yeah.
blink of an eye.
Mhm.
But how did you get through that 3.5 years? And what were your own practices to help you manage the stress and challenges you were facing doing two jobs?
Well, I will say I loved my business so much that it was actually the opposite problem. I had to be careful to not work too much, which meant my daytime job as a coach, evening time as a nurse, and not work the hours I should have been sleeping. So it was so lighting me up and so fulfilling building the business, helping women, and it was just magnetic for me that didn't feel hard. Yes, the hours were long and I was, very on all the time, but it was exhilarating and it was just I knew it was something I wanted to keep pursuing. So it didn't feel hard, but it was also moving me in the direction of saying, I'm one step closer every day to eventually. The practice was full time at that time. So taking it full time as my only job, because I don't want to say I left to make my practice full time.
Right, right.
That's not true. I
You were
was
doing
doing
two
two.
jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest struggles in my own business
Mhm.
is overworking because I love the work I do so
Yes,
much,
yes,
right? It
yes.
fills me, it lights me. I want to be in service of others.
Mm,
And I want to contribute in that way
yeah.
of helping people, with their own goals and challenges.
hmm
So, do you have any tips for our audience of how not to overwork when you're passionate about work?
I think having boundaries is the best way. Having really clear-cut boundaries was the only thing that really saved me. And that could be, a certain time that you're kind of shutting the computer, putting the phone away, that kind of thing is what helped me the most. And knowing that my living my most fulfilled life in my health coaching practice meant me having other facets of my life that were also fulfilling. So, maintaining social relationships and my relationship with my husband and, physical movement and all of these practices that not only helped me be my best self, but be the best coach I could to show up fully present, for my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showing up fully present is really, I'm going to say, an undervalued skill,
hmm
right? Whether it's showing up fully present for your partner, for your friends, for your children, for your clients,
hmm
for wherever else you contribute in the world. And so I can really, I'm going to say I admire that so much of boundaries being the tool that you used to help you show up fully present.
hmm
Any other practices as you think about, like, how do you maintain your own well being while you have this really full life?
Mm. I have what I call my core healthy habits. And so this is me walking my talk and coaching myself with all the things that I know work. And this is what work for my, specific body, mind, health goals, all of that, because I know if I have really high quality, consistent inputs to my body and my mind, then what I can output is what I want it to be at the level that I want it to be. So for me, nutrition is really key, really fueling my body with whole foods and focusing on what makes me feel like the best version of myself with that. Movement, some kind of daily movement, whether that's just a walk, a stretch, or strength training, whatever my body needs at that moment. really protecting my sleep. I'm a big proponent of prioritizing my bedtime routine and my sleep. I'm someone who needs 8 or 9 hours of sleep, and so that is really important to me. And the mindfulness components are non-negotiable as well. So for me, meditation, journaling, visualization, those things also help not only to keep me grounded, but also help encourage me to dream and like always be kind of thinking of the next iteration and if there's anything else that I could be doing to evolve further into the person that I want to become, right?
All of those tools, and I call them tools, that are useful in creating a beautiful life and protecting the mind, body, spirit, all of like, that full beingness. Sometimes we call those tools inner work. Laurel and I talk every week on this podcast about doing the inner work to create a beautiful life.
Yeah.
And so by having those practices that I think you refer to them as healthy habits,
Hmm.
keep you feeling good. And when you're feeling good, it inspires you to do more of those things that make you feel good,
That's right.
you
That's
know?
right. Yeah, it's that positive kind of snowball effect of, we're feeling good, so we do good, we then that just keeps multiplying.
Yeah,
And that's just a beautiful thing too,
yeah.
is I know what makes me feel like the best version of myself and I double down on those things.
And how long have you had that knowledge, awareness, wisdom of what makes you feel good? Has this been years, a lifetime? Like where did it start with you? I know you said when you were a young child, you were choosing raw vegetables instead of pizza and being made fun of for it. So, tell me, was there a time in your life where you kind of weren't feeling good and you're like, oh, I know what the problem is?
Yeah, yeah, I love this question actually. I would say the bones were always there from a very young age, like the bones and the foundation of it. But yeah, I've gone through a lot of health struggles and times in my life that I struggled with issues, from a physical standpoint, mental standpoint, where I had to really zoom out and take a sort of audit of like what I was doing in my life and how I could help myself in the best way. And so they're always evolving as I am a new person all the time and I'm always growing and evolving. So I've had to really do a lot of introspection at times in my life, at different turning points of my life. I've lived a life, and so yeah, there's been many moments where I've had to really say like, what really matters now, what feels good, what does my body need at this moment, and double down on those things. But yes, they rarely have been the same. But I'd say the last 5 years or so, like I've really gotten nitty gritty on what feels good and kind of done just variations of those practices.
Yeah. It's so interesting because so many people think that healthy habits are something that are constant or,
Hmm.
our inner work practices that we never have ups and downs in that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I know I work with a lot of clients who really think, oh, I call it becomingness, but transformation is another word for it, that it is linear and that we
Yeah.
never backtrack. But I know,
Hmm.
and I bet it's safe to assume that you know that it's cyclical. This growth and devotion we have to ourselves is cyclical.
Oh, yes. The ebbs and flows of health and life, that's what makes it magical and
Messy.
messy, and we embrace it all, right? But it would be boring if it was all just perfectly straight and narrow all the time, right?
Uh, yes, there would not be any challenges. And I also look at these times where, when you're off track for whatever reason, because sometimes it is hard to hold it all and do it all.
Hmm.
So when you are off track, often to me, that is an opportunity. Like I think about it as, being in the mud and then a new growth period comes. I love the metaphor of a plant.
Yeah.
There's no plant that springs out of the dirt.
Yeah.
in a way that is not messy. And
Mhm.
so this transformation and this personal growth really does happen at times when maybe we're sidetracked or backtracked or whatever we call it. Do you any like I'd like to ask the question of specific turning points or events in your life that had you springing forward
Mhm.
out of either desire or necessity, but were there turning points in your life that had you deepen your own practices?
Yes. 2008, I was in school getting my doctorate in physical therapy, and I had a bad accident, whitewater rafting, jumping off a cliff on the safest cliff to jump off of. My friend and I had waited for the safest one to jump off of.
Where
And
were you, by the way?
we were
Were
in
you,
West Virginia in the New
okay.
River. Yes. And so um, I suffered a burst compression fracture of my L5 and shattered my coccyx and almost drowned.
And can I interrupt you 1 minute?
Yes.
For those of you who don't know what the L5 or coccyx is, spinal injury,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
So that's a whole story in and of itself. But my colleagues in physical therapy school and our raft guide had to lay me on a backboard across our raft and hike me in the thunderstorm, a muddy, in the middle of nowhere river upstream to try to hike me up the muddy mountain to get to an ambulance. And we're still in the middle of nowhere. So it was a whole thing. Anyways, I ironically was the only PT student who didn't have a personal PT experience. That is what brought them to pursue the doctorate degree. And then lo and behold, I called my PT who I had interned with and said, "Well, can you take me on as a patient now?" And of course, he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" So here I was finally having my first PT experience, tragically. And so, the PT program was 3 years year round. I would have had to wait a full 3 years. I had to rehab at home and learn to walk again, and had assistance from my mom and my sisters to rehab and do all the things that I needed to do. And so I think my life just sort of flashed in front of me, and I said, I don't want to wait 3 more years. I feel like I want to just go. I had a fire. I want to go like live my life. And like I had something was like lit up inside of me. Like I don't just want to do something to wait for 3 more years. And so nursing had so many aspects and qualities that I liked about PT. I came from a family of nurses, so I pursued my nursing degree and an accelerated program for people who had had previous degrees. And that was a pivot that was scary, definitely uncertain. And then once I got fully into the program and was in my groove, it made sense for me. And I was very happy that I made that pivot for myself.
So I want to just go back for 1 minute to
Yeah.
the recovery of the
Yes.
spinal injury that you had. You had PT, you had to learn to walk again.
Hmm.
How long was this recovery period? Because I know a spinal injury sometimes is life or death.
Yeah, this was a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
My mom had just retired, and I will never forget her crying on the phone with me to say, "This is why this is all happening because I was supposed to take care of you." My brother-in-law moved my bed into my parents' living room,
Ooh.
and so that because I needed full care, and so my bed took up their living room, and my sisters and my mom were my full-time caregivers.
Ooh. It's when being in from a family of nurses comes
Yeah.
in handy.
Yes, that's right. That's right. If there ever was a time.
Mm. Yeah, and how did you let go of the dream of PT
Mm,
and pivot at a time when I imagine all of your energy and your thoughts and your emotions
mm.
were tied up in this recovery period that probably had plenty of ups and downs in the
Yeah.
year.
Yes. No shortage of, you know, doing the work and tears and grief and, feeling conflicted on whether I was making the right choice or not. And knowing that I couldn't hold on to what was and what my dream was at the time just to say that I pursued that and continued to pursue it. I knew that what I felt was pulling me even stronger at the moment was taking more immediate action with moving forward, and that was the nursing program.
Yeah.
So a lot of, inner work and a lot of soul searching, so to speak, and knowing that it was okay to let go of that. That was probably the hardest lesson. It didn't mean I was a failure to let go of that, the PT program and not return and to pivot, but rather I think maybe a true sign of evolution and coming into my fullest self and my fullest purpose. Once I got okay with that, then it was all kind of positive from there. But that turning point was a tricky one. No, deciding what would be the best option to move forward.
Yeah. It's amazing when I think about the tragic nature of the accident that you had, the rescue, and then the support of your PT community and your family. And that is a beautiful process, even though it was tragic and life-changing.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious about how the lesson that you learned there, letting go, moving forward, recovery, healing,
Hmm.
continuing some practices, and the humbling experience of having a bed in your parents' living room
Hmm.
because you were an adult living on your own.
Yes. Yes.
How much of I'm thinking about the emotion of grief, letting go, moving forward, being dependent on other people. How much of that, what you learned through that lesson, comes through in your work today? Like, are you teaching women how to do that?
Mm.
And I'm asking this question because I do think as women, we tend to hold on to things. Sometimes it's hard to let go,
Yes.
even of the smallest
Mm.
hope or dream.
Mm. Hmm. Hmm. To answer your question, all of it.
Yeah.
I pull all of it in. And my lived experience, I think, is very helpful in validating my clients to say, I've lived through something that was really challenging and I have made a pivot that was not certain to be a win or a success, or it could have definitely backfired on me. And I think there's so many lessons here in letting go of the stories we tell ourselves. So many of my clients have a story that is not serving them related to their physical appearance or dieting or their worthiness related to their health, whatever the case may be. And so use to kind of pulling all of this in to say, holding on to old stories and the old what ifs, what could have been, this was my path, what did I do, kind of thing, doesn't serve us. So reframing some of that to say, this version of you right here, right now, today, what does she want? And what's going to be the most fulfilling for her? What's the best step forward for her? Not the one from yesterday or last month or last year or 10 years ago. And I think that allows women to just like, there's an audible exhale and a lightness to say, now you have permission to just be you and pursue what lights your heart on fire and what feels most aligned now, and not worrying about what happened then and what was supposed to be.
Yeah. So I know, because I know you, that rafting accident was not the only life-changing accident that you've had. Do you want to share a little bit about the
Yeah,
second the
sure.
second opportunity to pivot?
That's right. Yes, I'm an open book. So this was 2020, and I was driving to work at the Brigham, 6 a.m. on normal Tuesday morning, listening to a health coaching podcast, ironically. Um, Calm, easy morning, doing my normal route, and I'm told because I lost consciousness that a massive white truck hit me from behind on the highway going full speed, and I was in nearly stopped traffic. We don't really know, I don't know why, but slower traffic, nearly stopped traffic. And so it caused a five-car accident, and first responders were surprised I survived. My car was accordion. I drove a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It was accordioned. Um, I had a guardian angel that still gives me chills to this day behind me, who saw the whole accident happen. She was behind the white truck that slammed into me, was a Brigham ICU nurse, Karen.
Mm.
Karen is my guardian angel. She was the first one on the scene, and I was unconscious, and she quite literally saved my life because she's the one who called 911. Obviously, being an ICU nurse, she knew exactly what to do. She called my husband, got me to Mass General Hospital, a big major hospital. They wanted to take me to a smaller one and was there by my side. And anyways, suffered many broken bones, had a traumatic brain injury, and took several months to recover, several months, probably I think 8, 9 months to recover from that, with lots of rehab, OT, PT, lots of things from that before I could return to the bedside. And then to add to that was the pandemic was happening. So now there was an added layer of guilt that I wasn't there on the front lines with
Mm.
my coworkers. And that was really took an emotional toll on me that I felt like I was, not supporting them. And I was like, how I shouldn't be here on my couch recovering. I should be there with them. They're struggling, they're suffering, they're having a really hard time. And I did what I could from the sidelines. I recovered as quickly as I could, and you couldn't stop me. Once I got cleared, I was like on the phone with my manager, like, get me back on the unit. I need to be there with my people, my family.
It's amazing.
Hmm.
And, I think about this that your inclination and the emotional toll it took, your inclination that you should be
Hmm.
on the floor, you should be supporting the team back on the unit, and that being a focus rather than I should be laying on the couch healing.
Hmm.
Right? This, I think, it's something that we do,
Yeah.
right? The caretakers and
Yes.
the I call it others focused. I no longer call it people pleasing. I call it others
Hmm.
focused,
I
right?
like that.
Where you want to contribute
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you want to support others,
Hmm.
not realizing that supporting yourself is the way
Yes.
to and through,
Hmm.
right, this trauma to go back to supporting others. Like you can't get back to
That's
a
right.
place to support others unless you take care of yourself.
That's right. That's right. And I think the notion that nursing is a calling really came through to me at that point because it was a pull that I could not ignore. I mean, like you said, you know, it would have been totally understandable to just be healing and focus 100% on my healing. But there's something about the nursing profession and to have the family of nurses that I had grown so close with, knowing that they were really struggling and yeah, it felt really odd and out of place for me to not be a part of that with them.
Yeah. It's interesting because, my daughter is who you worked with is still on the neuro ICU step down unit at Brigham. And
Amazing.
having met her colleagues, her friends, there is such a camaraderie
Hmm.
in the unit that you
Yeah.
experienced. And I've seen this in the electric utility world during what we used to call storm duty. My team, who had my back and I had theirs through crisis management, taking care of each other so that we could take care of our customers, in your case, patients,
Yes.
through these crises.
Hmm.
I've never been in the military, but I imagine that
Yes.
that camaraderie in a unit is so, it's not just loyalty, it is genuine care for your fellow person.
Yes. Or
And
you would
so,
even put yourself into harm's way to protect them. There's
yes,
something really special about that. Yeah.
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 And so many of us, I think we have that instinct even within our families and our communities and our friend circles. Like, I
Mhm.
really do think that care for the tribe is so deep within us
Mhm.
that we often, it's not that we mean to neglect our own needs or care for ourselves,
Mhm.
but our but that instinct to take care of and care for others is so big and so
Yes.
deep in our humanness. And so it is no wonder that you have now clients who don't put their needs first
Mm.
and that your own lived experience can help those clients. So we talked about those little diversions in your path,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Opportunities to pivot.
Yeah.
Tell me about after this car accident on your way to work and your guardian angel.
We're still in touch pretty frequently, and I quite literally every time I'm in contact with her, address her as my guardian angel.
It's so beautiful.
She just retired, and I always am like, go live your life here. You deserve every minute.
It's so beautiful. So you went back to work
Yeah.
after that experience, and then what? That was in 2020. So
Yeah.
you had already started your business,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you were working. I know this, and I say this. You were working two full-time jobs, one at
Yeah.
the hospital and one in your business.
Hmm.
And how did you, or did anything happen that kind of had you moving in a direction of choosing one full-time job and not continuing to?
Yes. People in the medical field, particularly nurses on the front lines, will maybe appreciate this more, but I'll try to explain it in the best way I can. As time went on, the years went on, I saw the unfortunate trend, the sad trend that we were expected to do more with less, see more patients, make the revolving door move quicker in terms of discharging a patient, admitting a new patient. And this was with patients that were extremely sick on our unit. So we're talking brain surgeries, seizures, different things like this. And so as time went on, that pull for me, that personal pull became louder and stronger as simultaneously the hospital was moving in a direction of do more, more, more with less, again, less resources, less staff, less everything. And I saw that negatively affecting my patients. And it became a crossroads point where I couldn't keep doing it and I couldn't look away. And I remember being in tears one time, discharging a patient who I had taken care of for weeks at that point, from complications post-operatively, and being in tears, just saying, I have four other patients and I have so much I could teach this patient and sit with them, but I'm quite literally being pulled in all the directions. And I was in charge that night as well. And it's moments like that just made me say, my skill set and my heart and my passions and my motivation are better suited in my health coaching practice because this no longer feels aligned as much as I love bedside care and I love the patients and I think I helped a lot and made a positive impact. My skill set was better suited on the other side of it. Yeah.
And I'm going to not use the word skill set. I'm going to say your gifts. The gifts that you have that the world needs.
Hmm.
Those gifts are you had an impact at the hospital in your bedside care with patients. But the same gifts that you use there are being used for probably an impact that is more aligned with your calling, with your purpose. In your practice as a coach, you're teaching people
Hmm.
new behaviors, healthier habits,
Yeah.
even more awareness of their own
Mm.
thoughts, emotions, tendencies
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
improve their lives, which is the proactive teaching. Had you ever thought when you were young that you wanted to be a teacher?
Yes, it's funny. I just thought that as you said that. My mom worked for AT&T back when it was called a different company way back in the day, and she'd come home with computer printer paper. Back then it was connected by
Oh,
perforations.
yes.
So I would put up, 5 or 6 sheets and tape them onto our wallpapered wall back then in 19, probably 87, 88, and pretend like it was a chalkboard and use a pointer with a bunch of straws taped together. And just, I can picture it and just pointing to the chalkboard like I was a teacher. And that was my setup. Yes, I always wanted to be a teacher, actually. So,
It's really beautiful. I could talk to you all day. So I'm going to ask another question, and it's going to be about your own practices. When you know you have inner work to do, when you maybe sense that something is not in alignment,
Mhm.
what's your go-to?
Mm. I would say first my go-to is stillness, which is the hardest one for me. That's the one that my ego wants to say like, there's more, there's better things to be done with action, right? And my default is high functioning, ambitious, striving action. And so stillness is where I know I need to be. So white space, not doing anything and getting still in my mind. And then second, meditation. So getting into a meditative state, and allowing my thoughts to just come and not force anything. So stillness first for me, really hard for me, and then it's meditation.
So tell me what stillness looks like. Give me an example.
Quite literally laying on the couch or sitting in my bed with the lights off, no podcast, no music, no nothing, no interruptions, and just letting myself be, just being,
Yeah.
not doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. As you were speaking, I was thinking about sensory deprivation, right?
Mm,
Bringing
yeah.
yourself into a place where you don't have data,
Mm-hmm.
information,
Yes.
noise,
Yeah.
and
Stimulation.
right, right. And I know for me too, calming my senses is the quickest way for me to calm down,
Mm-hmm.
right? To calm my nervous system, to
Mm-hmm.
quiet my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? It is balancing my senses and calming my senses.
Yes.
I want to share one practice that I started doing a few years ago.
Yes.
I've told this story on the podcast before, but there was a brand new grocery store in my neighborhood. My husband thought it was the best thing ever. He loved it. So one Saturday I went with him and we were 3 aisles in and I had this sensory overload. The lights were too white, or too bright. The floors were too white. There was too much product on the shelves. Like it was overload.
Mm.
And he looked at me. I said, I have to get out of here. And he said, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I have to get out of here. I went outside, sat on the bench, did box breathing for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I was able to go back into the store. But it was really intense sensory
Mm.
overload.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I discovered the book Sacred Rest by Dr. Sandra
Mm.
Dalton Smith
You
that talked,
introduced me to that book as well. Yeah.
yes, that
Yes.
talked about sensory rest.
Yes.
And I started this practice of balancing my senses in that I give myself the senses that I overutilize, my voice, my hearing, my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I give them rest and I increase the use of my touch and smell
Mm.
in a way to balance my senses, right? To keep me from sensory overload.
Yes.
But it's, bringing stillness, your practice of bringing stillness is very much a sensory
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
management, right? It's a
Yeah.
way to care for yourself in a world that doesn't allow us often not to have
That's right.
sensory inputs.
My default, Laurel, is very much to do and to take action and to seek knowledge and information. I'm a lifelong learner. And so, because that is my default, when I'm in a turning point or things aren't feeling totally aligned or something feels off, that is my default if I'm not careful to want to learn something about it, try to fix it, try to like get more knowledge, like do more. And so that's why I know the antidote is really the stillness,
Yeah.
like you, to your point, to decrease the stimulation, not
Yeah.
have more inputs, and let
Yes.
me and my internal being figure it out and not look to an outside source, whatever that is,
Yeah.
for motivation, for knowledge, for advice, for even like therapy, like just to come inwards and know like I have the answers and I am figuring it out. So,
And
yeah.
you and I could probably talk about this all day, but this is an area that this we have so much in common in that place, right?
Hmm.
My doing is how I that's my default as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more I learn about managing my own nervous system, really is a practice of,
Hmm.
pattern interrupt, where you recognize your default
Hmm.
and you learn a new way.
Hmm.
Because I know from personal experience and the learning I've done in the nervous system work that I bring into my practice and my coaching work is that our nervous system and our brain are sorting data all day long.
Hmm.
And we get
Yes.
internal data and we have external data. And often we ignore the internal data because the external data there's so much of it and it's so
So abundant.
loud. It's
Yes.
so loud
Yes.
that we might miss when our heart rate is increased or we're warm or edgy. And so when you quiet that external data, you can really tap into the internal wisdom of your body
Hmm.
to know better how to manage your human self.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's so right. It's like we
yeah.
have the answers and trusting that, trusting ourselves. And that's something that I talk a lot about with my clients too, is trusting yourself. Like you know your body best and not looking for other people to tell you what is, of course, my work is coaching and I do a lot of, guiding and mentoring with that, but you know your body best, not me, not your primary care physician, not your therapist, and trusting that and learning to trust your body can be a scary thing for a lot of us. And so taking that step by step. Yeah.
Yes, we have that in common too, that, I really do believe that we all have the answer inside of us. We have to
Mm.
just peel back the layers so that
Take off the armor, you know? Yeah.
I describe it as peeling back the layers of onion skin,
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
whether it's conditioning or training or
Mm.
whatever reason we have these layers, armor, protection,
Hmm.
survival. Like once we can peel back some of those layers and really anchor into our safety of our own inner wisdom, we know what we need.
We just have to get quiet enough to listen,
We
to hear it.
do. We
Hmm.
do. We do. So I want to bring us to a close here. And I can't even think of like if I had to ask only one more question, but I guess what would you say to those of our listeners who are maybe at a point where life is showing them a new path, but they're not trusting of that new path. I call these the things that you experienced, right? These two tragic accidents you had,
Hmm.
nudges from the universe. When we're not exactly on the path that we should be, or our path is going to become even more aligned with our soul's work,
Hmm.
we're being asked to move a little. And some of us hold on with a
Hmm.
death grip to our
Yes.
our plan.
You come out screaming, kicking, and
That's right. And so what might you suggest if someone is
yeah.
being nudged to
Yeah.
move away from their
Yeah.
plan?
Mm. Let's see. First, I would say trust the nudge, listen to the whispers. They're there for a reason. Otherwise, you wouldn't even have that nudge, that thought, that wish, whatever it is. Secondly, I'd say I love the quote that clarity comes from action, not thought. So I'd say take some action related to that next new path, whatever that is. Something small that doesn't, kind of inches you towards that. But take those baby steps, those action steps forward towards that new direction and see how you feel and keep reassessing how you feel. Are you feeling constricted or expansive? Do you feel more aligned or less aligned? And just keep taking those actions. I think that's a really good place to start, and know that you can always pivot. You can always, it's fluid. You can always go back, but chances are once you're forward, you want to stay there and keep going.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm going to add to that a practice that I use a lot because, as we talked about, my tendency is to take action.
Yeah.
And so when I'm in a place where I'm being nudged or invited
Mm-hmm.
and I can feel some resistance,
Mm-hmm.
and when that comes up, I often am in my head about what is the right answer, what is the right next move, what is the right action.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the practices I use now is I ask my heart first. I put my hands on my heart and I say, close my eyes, and I ask my heart, what do you have to tell me about this choice? What do you have to tell me about this invitation? And then I just sit. And then I move my hands down to my belly, which is kind of where I often demonstrate where my intuition is.
Yes.
So, wherever you perceive your intuition to be, your inner wisdom, place your hands there, close your eyes, and ask intuition, what wisdom, what do you have to tell me about this? Now, when I do this practice, I have to tell my head, it's not your turn,
Uh-huh.
not your
Yeah.
turn, not your turn, because
Yes.
I want my other intelligences to come through.
Yes.
And
And that mind
often
chatter is hard to turn off,
it
right?
is. And
Yes.
often my action is solely based on my head intelligence. So I think it's a beautiful practice to combine both. Take the action,
Yes.
a
Yes.
small step, but ask. Laurel and I talk about four intelligences:
Mhm.
your head, your heart, your intuition, and your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that you can gather intelligence, insight, wisdom,
Yes.
counsel, advice from all of your intelligences, it helps you get out of the default way of being.
Mm. That is so beautiful. I have a mantra I want to share that is
Sure.
actually just goes with this so perfectly. I have to share. Is it's and this can be speaking to, yourself, your heart, God, a higher power, whatever you believe in, whatever feels aligned for you. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say and to whom? Guide me, show me. So it's sort of, again, complementary to what you're talking about. And it's a little bit of a surrender in there, right? You see that wording is very much like I can trust myself and I can be open to what is my next right path. Guide me, show me. What would you have me say? What would you have me do? And again, living in your highest alignment, listening to your heart, listening to your intuition, and I think that combined with the action taking is a perfect
Magic.
recipe.
Yeah. Now, you might not be surprised when I tell you this, but right here in my planner, I have this poem. I'm going to read it to you. This
Okay.
is the fourth year I've written this in my planner.
Okay.
Please have me go where you'd have me go.
Oh,
Do what you have me do. Say what you'd have me say. Please use me in service to my highest good in service and love. I am ready and willing to allow my full connection to my spirit. I am no longer burdened by what I have left behind.
mm.
Heaven above me and earth below me to support me on my way.
Oh.
It's
Oh.
very much what you were talking about, the mantra
Oh.
you were talking about.
You're making me tear up. I mean, how the serendipity is just I have like full chills. That was so beautiful.
I will put it in the show notes and
Please,
make sure that you have it
please.
too. It is such a powerful, when I read that to myself every day, it humbles me.
Wow.
It takes me out of
Yes.
my head and my plan and my doing
Yes.
and opens me up to curiosity and
Mhm.
service.
A bigger purpose in the world
Yeah,
besides us.
absolutely. Even though
Yeah,
I might not
outside of
know
us.
what that is, or I
Yeah.
might doubt it, or I might question it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any of us, and I think about women in particular, that don't question why
Mm.
me, why now, right? Like all
Hmm.
of the why.
Yes.
And we look to the answers to the why questions so that we know what action to take.
Yes.
But sometimes it really is opening up to being guided by something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have to say, I could talk to you all day. It's such a
Same.
magnificent conversation. I love that we are here together in this space. And as we close, I want you to tell our listeners anything you want them to know about the work that you're doing, how you support women. I expect it's just women at this point, right?
Yes.
Um, we're going to have to clone you so that men can have the goodness of the
I
gifts
do
that.
take the occasional male, but my
Okay.
work is primarily
Okay.
focused with midlife women.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say before I talk about my services that thank you for the work, the important work that you do in this world in helping individuals. You have such a gift, such a presence. And I really just want to acknowledge you for that. So
Thank you. I will receive that.
yes, please do. So you can find me at my website, nursingyourwaytowellness.com. And I know you'll put that in the show notes as well. So I offer private health coaching, group wellness programs, speaking engagements. And I would just want to share that if you feel, especially if you are a woman over 40, if you feel stuck in your health in any way, you feel like you are not getting answers from your care team, you are being dismissed, you are throwing spaghetti against the wall and spinning your wheels, and nothing is really working, or it works temporarily, and you're just not feeling like your best self. And the last example that I like to give is if you feel like something is off and you are going to your doctor and they're saying, like, good news, your labs are fine, eat less, move more. This is just part of getting older. This is just part of perimenopause or menopause. That is very untrue, to put it kindly. And you are my people, and I can help you. And there's so much we can do from a whole person perspective, really looking at all facets of your well being. And so I invite you to book a complimentary consultation call with me again on the website and just learn about how I can support you. And if you want to reach out on social media, I'm at Nursing Your Way to Wellness. I'm always happy to just have a conversation, give any guidance that I can give you. My ultimate mission is to support women in feeling the best they can feel so they can go out and live their best life doing all that they want to do.
That's wonderful. Well, we will make sure all of your contact information is in the show notes. Thanks again, Kristen. It is always so delightful to be with you.
Thank you.
And I really, really am so happy that after all these years, we still connect in this place, in this space, in the world, and
Yes.
keep doing the work you're doing. It's so important.
Thank you so much. And I'm grateful for you, your friendship to be in your orbit. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. We will be back next week for more Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. See you then. Bye for now.